exhibition with the Soviet Union.
Ago to the day, December 28, 1975, that the New York Rangers, representing the NHL, played the Soviet Union in Super Series 76. They lost to the Soviets 7-3. Soviets Vladimir Petrov scored his second goal early in the third period en route to that decisive victory over the Rangers. The Soviets won 2, lost 1, and tied 1 against NHL opposition. Tonight, live from Madison Square Garden in New York, the third Super Series sees a rematch of that historic first game of NHL and Soviet as the Central Red Army meets the New York Rangers. The Rangers' NHL season record to date, 16 wins, 15 losses, 5 ties. They are 6th place overall in the National Hockey League. A sharp contrast to the Soviet Red Army's record of 21 wins, 2 losses, 2 ties in the 12-team Soviet Major League. Good evening, everyone, and as they say in the Soviet Union, Dobre Večer. I'm Bernie Pascal, and tonight marks the first televised game of Super Series 80. The Soviet Central Red Army against National Hockey League opposition. CTV will present 4 of the games over the next 2 weeks. And working with us on the telecast, the co-coach of Canada's Olympic team, Tom Watt, providing our expert color commentary. And the play-by-play commentator for tonight's game here in New York is Ron Roush.
Well, thanks very much, Bernie, and I'm sure that those New York Rangers remember very well that night 4 years ago, a 7-3 thrashing at the hands of the Soviet Central Red Army team. I know 2 players will be in the lineup were victimized by the Soviet team. One of them is Phil Esposito, one of the greatest performers we've ever had in international hockey. Phil, who can forget the great performance he put in 1972 as Canada beat the Soviet national team. Another fella in the goals for the New York Rangers, John Davidson. JD was victimized for those 7 goals 4 years ago. He started slowly this year. He's come back and is beginning to round into shape after knee surgery late in the summer. And another young fellow and a new kid on the block, number 35, Steve Baker. Steve Baker is a college kid from Union College. He's out of Boston, Massachusetts, just up from the minors. He has a 2.44 goals against average and has been the #1 man the last couple of months here in New York. But Tom, we take a look at this firepower from the Soviet team and just wonder whether they can stand up to it or not.
Well, certainly Red Army has an outstanding club. They are the club team champions of the Soviet Union, and they have a good balance of young and old players. Vyacheslav Fedosov, a young defenseman, number 2 tonight, has already been chosen to a World Championship team in 1978 in Prague. He missed all of last season because of injury, didn't participate in the Challenge Cup series last year, but certainly is known as an outstanding defenseman in the Soviet Union. And then we have the older players, Valery Harmelov, who is very familiar to Canadian fans, one of the stars of the original 72 series, and he is playing along with his 2 line mates, Petrov and Mikhailov, and that line's been together for 10 years, since 1969, and they have an outstanding threesome.
And the capacity crowd here at Madison Square Garden tonight, anxiously awaiting the start of this game between the Rangers and the Central Red Army, as we know you are, right across the full CTV network. The Soviet Red Army and the New York Rangers in Super Series 80 will continue in a moment.
Hello again, everyone. This is Ron Roush speaking to you from Madison Square Garden, where we're just about set for Game 1 of the Soviet Central Red Army segment of Super Series 1980. And this is traditional, the introduction of the players coming up down at center ice with the PA announcer here at Madison Square Garden, Carl Martin.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Madison Square Garden, celebrating 100 years of sports and entertainment. And at this time, we offer the season's greetings to everybody. Now, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the National Hockey League and the New York Rangers, Madison Square Garden is proud to present this evening a premier attraction in international hockey. The New York Rangers versus the Central Red Army, the defending championship team of the Soviet Union. Let us now meet the starting lineup for the Central Red Army. Number 2, Vyacheslav Fedosov. And the next gentleman, ladies and gentlemen, yesterday was named the most valuable player in the entire Soviet Union for all sports. He's the captain of the Central Red Army team, number 7, Boris Mikhailov. Next, number 14, Sergei Starikov. Number 16, Vladimir Petrov. Number 17, Valery Kamalov. And number 20 in goal, you know him, Vladislav Tricek. The coach
And here's
of
the coach.
the Soviet team, if you'll just give me a moment, Viktor Chikhanov.
Viktor Tikhonov, of course, the coach.
And now here is the starting lineup for the New York Rangers. Number 5, Carol Vadney. Number 8, Steve Vickers. Number 11, Ulf Nilsson. Number 15, Anders Hedberg. Number 26, Captain Dave Maloney. And number 35, Steve Baker. Coaching the Rangers tonight is Mike Nicola. And here are the rest of the players from the Central Red Army team and the New York Rangers.
Well, there they are then, the players who make up the Soviet Central Red Army team. And in a moment, we'll be exchanging gifts and then the national anthems here to be sung by Georgian Gietlein. We'll be hearing the Soviet, Canadian, and U.S. national anthems. We've got a packed house, well over 17,000 here at Madison Square Garden to witness this first game the Soviet Central Red Army has played against the National Hockey League since, well, early part of 1976, what we call the 1976 and very first Super Series. There, the rest of the New York Rangers, not dressed tonight, will be Walter Tkachuk. Also not dressed for the Rangers, Don Maloney. Tkachuk was in an automobile accident. That's why he's unavailable. There's Big John Davidson, Bill Esposito.
Hockey events, the teams led by their captains will exchange gifts at center ice.
And, of course, the captains will exchange gifts along with each of the members of the teams. Pennants usually, pins on the part of the Rangers. And we should be in for a good one, Tom Watt. We're looking forward to this one. The opener, of course, and of course it was a great opener in Vancouver last night as well with the Dynamo.
Well, yes, there are two teams here. Dynamo are playing in Western Canada at the present time, but both of these clubs, both Red Army and Dynamo, are 1-2 in the Soviet League, and both of them are great hockey clubs.
And now the national anthems of the United States, Canada, and the Soviet Union.
Please join us in honoring the three great nations and welcome back Mrs. Georgian Gietlein singing the Russian, Canadian, and American national anthems, accompanied on the Hammond organ by Ashley Miller. Here, ladies and gentlemen, is Mrs. Georgian Gietlein.
Rangers and the Central Red Army are all set. We'll return with the opening face-off of tonight's hockey game from Madison Square Garden in just a moment. Just the final moments before tonight's hockey game, and there's the referee for tonight's game, Wally Harris, the linesman John D'Amico, and Kevin Collins. And we'll take a look at the goaltending for the game, and a very familiar fellow in the nets for the Soviet Central Red Army on the left of your screen with that familiar number 20 as well, Vladislav Tretiak. Average of 2.63, and the other fella, a tall fella. As a matter of fact, they've got to have the tallest goaltending in the National Hockey League right now with John Davidson and this guy, Steve Baker, who's been good, 2.44 goals against average. He stands 6'3".
Well, there's something about big goaltenders. I know goaltenders can come in all sizes, but there's something about a big goaltender standing in that net. You can't see too much empty space there, and it's just tough for some of the shooters, especially in our game, how they come out and challenge. There's just not much net to see.
Well, the story we get is we're going to see both of the Ranger goaltenders tonight. John Davidson, as we mentioned at the outset of the broadcast, coming back from knee surgery, just beginning to round into shape. There's the coach of the Soviet Central Red Army, Viktor Tikhonov, also the coach of the Soviet national team. And the play is underway, and from the face-off at center ice, the puck is back in the Ranger end. The Rangers in control with Karol Badney. Shooting it out to center ice, the Soviets checking on the play, can't control it, and the Rangers have got it at center ice. Vickers clearing it down into the Central Army zone. Around the boards on the far side, that's Hedberg. He clears it out to center ice, right by everybody. Chasing down into his own zone is Dave Maloney, and he's being harassed on the play by Boris Mikhailov. It's called for icing, and will be brought back into the Army zone for a face-off.
One thing that you will see from the Soviet team is they try to throw that puck right through the middle to get the quick break, especially early in the hockey game. There we have a look at the New York Ranger coach, Mike Nikolak, who is behind the bench tonight in place of Fred Sherrill, who is, I'm sure, watching the game with a great deal of interest from up above.
Face-off will be to the left of Tretiak. And from the face-off, it's Ulf Nilsson who gets control, but then the puck comes out to center ice, and the Soviets are on the attack. Makarov over the line. He drops it up. There's the shot by Balderas, rolled out in front, right onto the stick of Nilsson. He clears it out to center ice once again. Nilsson, Hedberg, and Vickers, the line for the Rangers right now. Puck along the boards. The Army with Makarov, number 15, getting it out to center ice. That pass was intended for Balderas. He's number 19. Makarov's got it now to Balderas into the corner. He's checked on the play by Badney, who takes control and wheels it up the boards to center ice. Rolled down to the Army line, turning with it. At the Army blue line is Shluptov. Shluptov over to this side. There is Kazatanov. Kazatanov trying to get loose. He's checked. Now it's over the line, but the Rangers take over once again. At center ice, Dave Maloney over the line now. Here's a shot right on. Kick save by Tretiak, and it's cleared down the ice. And back to get it for the Rangers will be Mario Marois. He picks it up. It's called on the icing. Live from New York, this is Super Series 80 on CTV. Face-off at center ice, the puck comes, and turning with it is Big Barry Beck, but he's unable to control it against the forechecking. Beck's inside the zone, puck rolls right in front, and Baker makes a good save as he cut off the angle from close range. Puck is cleared around the boards past Esposito, but the Rangers maintain possession. Out at center ice now, it's backhanded over the line by Maloney, cleared into the corner. Around the boards on the far side now, it's Gemayev. He's unable to get loose with it. And the Rangers controlling it now as Don Murdoch clears it around behind the net. Now trapped at the boards. That's Claude LaRose, number 20, behind the net. Rangers doing a good job here of forechecking. Now a good solid hit taken by Big Barry Beck, but the puck comes out to center ice. 2-on-1 over the line. They get set, and they passed it in front of the net, and batting on that pass was Mikhail Barnikov. Out at center ice once again. Sportsov trying to turn with it. These are three players on one line from the Soviet wings. They were picked up for this series. It's cleared in around the boards. On the far side, Hottespar. Out at center ice for Murdoch. Murdoch leading the rush. He hits the line. Murdoch dropping it off. Trying to clear it back for Talafus. Talafus number 19. The shot steered into the corner. And the Soviets come away again. Fedosov at center ice. The long shot. That's stopped by Baker at the Ranger goal. Cleared into the corner. They jam away at it in there, and another player comes piling in, and it is held for a face-off.
Well, here we have Barry Beck getting caught a little up the ice here, and you can't afford to do that. You can't step up there too quick. Created the 2-on-1, just missing for Soviet Red Army off the edge of the New York crease.
And there's Baker, the young goaltender. Kind of came up the hard way, really. He was drafted late. And went to Toledo in the International Hockey League, then to New Haven, was pulled up from New Haven this year. A bit of a surprise, but he's been a pleasant one for the coaching staff here at New York. Here's a shot from the blue line. That's steered into the corner. That shot taken by Fedosov. It's into the corner. Trying to get loose with it now as they dig away inside the zone. Breshner has it. Breshner out to center ice. It's cleared ahead, and trying to break through there was Duguay. He was unable to get loose. It's called on the offside at the line.
One of the things that the Soviets like to do, and they did it at that time, they press down with their defensemen at the opposition's blue line. The defenseman, if the puck comes around that boards, they will press right down, and he'll be backed up by a center who plays a little high. They gamble a little bit when they come at you and forecheck you in your own zone with their defenseman pressing up very hard.
Victor Tikhonov, you saw on your screen there, and Ray Markham, who is a youngster, also called up from New Haven just recently. Puck is inside the zone now, clear to the blue line. Breshner keeps it in, shoots it into the corner. They poke away at it in there, taken by Talafas, around behind the net. They jam in behind the net there. That is cleared away. They roll it to the side of the net. Now into the corner it goes. Turning with it, now the Soviets starting out. At center ice for the Soviets, number 21 is Alexei Kasatonov. Shoots it in, flipped into the corner. Breshner's after it in there, along the boards. Out to center ice and cleared down into the Soviet end. And coming back for it is Kasatonov. Kasatonov, number 21, behind his own net. Starting out with that long lead pass. It was intended for Mihailov, but it was not knocked down. Down inside the zone. It's called on the icing once again. No score in this hockey game, and we played 3 minutes and 53 seconds of the first period.
Well, there's the familiar face that we talked about at the opening of the show, Valery Harmelov, just going to the bench off with his teammates, and that line has played together with the Soviet national team for the last 10 years and with Soviet Red Army Club.
Face-off will be in the Ranger end. Centering for the Soviets, Viktor Shlukov, 6-time world champion. John D'Amico set to drop the puck. And from the face-off, it's controlled. Here's the shot, deflected wide of the net. Players go down in there. Moving in after it is Makarov. He's knocked off stride. Puck comes behind the net. Soviets trying to move out now. Good forechecking in there as Johnstone's in on top of the players, but it's brought to center ice by Gimaev, and he shoots it in. Around the boards on the far side. There's trapped by Warren Miller. Miller poking away at it again. He gets it to the blue line, and Johnstone then has to drop it back. Good checking this time by the Soviets. Vatney at center ice, shooting it in. And Stretchak out, leaving it at the side of his net. Cleared around the boards by Gimaev, but not out. They clear it right wide on the far side now. Johnstone clearing it into the corner. Again, it's Gimaev. Gimaev into the corner, shoots it out to the blue line to center ice now. Shlukov in over the line. Balderas in the corner. He's got that great speed, but he's raked in against the boards. And once again, it's the Rangers. Abe Maloney, their team captain at center ice, and shot down into the Soviet zone by Miller. Soviets again taking over. And here's Barry Beck out on the ice now, chasing it down inside his own zone. Beck, number 3. The Stars of the Challenge Cup. Crunching body checking. There's a give and go with Beck. He's cleared in over the line, and backing in offside ahead of the play was Steve Vickers. With the score, the Soviet Central Red Army nothing, and the Rangers nothing. Super Series 80 pauses for a moment. Soviet Central Red Army bench. They have won the Soviet title 22 times over the years. They've got as many flags hanging in their sports club as the Montreal Canadiens have in the Montreal Forum.
But they have one advantage. If they need a hockey player, they just bring him into Red Army Club. They induct him into that army, and they make sure they get all the best troops to begin with.
Now we see some movement around, and of course Balderas, he used to play with Riga, came over to the Red Army a couple of years ago along with their coach Viktor Tikhonov. Tikhonov stressing a much more offensive brand of hockey than I think we've seen in past years with the Soviets. They felt they were getting ready for that now as Victor's over the line, and the pass was relayed by Nielsen. Now around the boards on the far side, it's out to the blue line. There's a shot. Scores! Vickers! Vickers deflected that one into a wide open net. I think that may have been a planned play all the way, Tom.
Well, what happened was that the Soviet defender had possession of the puck. He tried to throw it all the way around that boards, and it was stopped just inside the blue line. Here we see the puck going all the way around to the point. The puck comes right through the point. It's tipped. Vickers just stops it with a skate and puts it in.
Take another look at it here, Tom.
There it is, stopped at the point as the Soviet defender shot it around. We see Vickers just off the side of the net, just to tip it home.
Vickers from Hedberg and Merwa at 5:22. The Rangers lead this hockey game on the far side. Now there's Hedberg. Hedberg trying to cut into the slot, circling away for the checking. Here's Hedberg trying to get set. He shoots, and he's wide with it. Behind the net, Vickers. He's being checked back there by Kasatonov. There to the far boards, Nielsen. Nielsen trying to get set. He stopped on the play, and it's out at center ice, and here's Grozetsky. Grozetsky over the line. He stopped on the play as he scraped in against the boards by Merwa. Puck is out at center ice once again. Kasatonov beating it up ice. Rangers now playing with a little verve here as it's cleared into the zone. Along the boards, Baker's out of the net. There's a shot. It's right on, and Baker's down, and he hangs on. Pile up in front of that net, and I think Baker slashed his own man.
Well, Merwa threw a tremendous check on the side boards just before taking the man in front of the net, but they're not going to let anybody just get in front of Baker's doorstep. Here we have Tikhonov looking on, and I'm sure he's wondering if the game is going to get a little too rough for their hockey club, but I'm sure that New York Rangers aren't going to let people stand around in front of that net, and that's just what Beck and Marwa were doing there. They were clearing out that crease.
Face off in the Ranger zone behind the net. Now Greshner. Greshner, a good offensive type defenseman, loves to rush that puck, but right now he just passes it off to Hospodar behind the net. Hospodar trying to roll it along the boards. Number 20 there is Claude LaRose. He's unable to get loose. Now he takes it back. Behind the net, Greshner. Greshner is pinned in against the boards. Hospodar moves in. He covers up. Here come the Rangers once again. Out at center ice, Murdoch. Murdoch dropping it off. Getting set is LaRose. He takes a shot right in front of that. They roll it out in front. Now here's Greshner with a shot. Right in front and down. On that play goes Murdoch at the side of the net. Now Esposito moving in. Number 77 that goes to the far side. LaRose digging in there. LaRose is slammed in against the boards by Volchenkov. And it's called again for a face-off in the Soviet end. There's Phil Esposito.
Well, here we have a look at the goal. There's the puck being trapped and shot just inside the blue line. The little tip in front of the net, and here we see Steve Vickers topping it first with his skate and then just getting the blade of a stick on him to tip it by Tretiak.
Interesting note here. Steve Vickers got the first goal of the last game against the Soviets here. Against the same Central Red Army. It came at the 21-second mark of the game. This time Vickers scores at 5:22. 1-0. Unfortunately for the Rangers, things proceeded to get worse from that point on as they went on to lose by a score of 7-3. There's a shot taken straight off the face-off by Murdoch, but it was a weak one and wide of the net. It's cleared down the ice now. Baker out of the net, but he lets it go by, and Hospodar touches it, and it's called on the icing. From Madison Square Garden, the Soviet Central Red Army and the New York Rangers in Game 1 of Super Series 80. Well, those fellas nose to nose right there. Helmut Balderas and Don Murdoch. Helmut Balderas, former player of the year in the Soviet Union in 1977. He holds the league record for goals scored at 40 in a 36-game schedule. Now from the face-off. Back to the point. Greshner takes a shot, and it was kicked alertly into the corner by Tretiak. Now they clear it in front again, and Esposito is unable to control it as he got to the side of the net. Now they go in against the boards again. Cleared around the boards by Murdoch. Soviets try to control it. They're not having much success getting it out of their end right now, and down goes Esposito. Referee Wally Harris says there was nothing to that at all. No penalty, but it was offside. Esposito preceding the puck in.
Well, one interesting point of the hockey game so far, and it's early in the game. Here we have the puck just stopped inside the line. A little trip just inside the line, but it was called on the offside right at the blue line.
Face off now, and it's cleared down by Maloney into the corner on the far side. Taken by Fetisov. He whirls it around the boards, but again, the Rangers are doing a good job of forechecking this Soviet team right now. Into the corner. The jam in there, cleared in front of the net. Poking away at it. Now it's out in front, a good save there, and the Soviets take over. Makarov. That's Markham, number 29, by the way, as Makarov is down over the line, clears it into the corner, and around the net on the far side. Number 10 is Ron Duque, very speedy forward for this Ranger team. Slipped out over center ice. Dean Taleb was unable to knock that one down. Starikov behind his own net. to the far side. Fedosov trying to get it out in front, is stopped by Maloney on the backhand, and he's forced to put it into the corner. And taking after it is Duguay. Duguay around behind the net. Markham back there, and he put it right back onto the stick of Fedosov, but he's unable to clear it. Out to the corner again. Duguay to Markham. Out in front, they try to jam it in there. Now it's loose in front, and Talip has had a whack at it. Back to the point, Maloney. He takes a shot, and it's right on there on the screen with Duguay parked right in front and is held for a face-off.
Well, the Soviets are certainly reeling at this point. They haven't been able to control the puck. Here we see the Rangers working hard, doing a good job of forechecking, bustling the Soviets off the puck, coming right around, trying to jam it in the short side. But they've certainly had the Soviet team on the run early in the hockey game. The Soviets haven't been able to control the puck in their zone, and when they did control it, they've been throwing it away. Here we see Tretiak down, stopping that second shot.
Was knocked down with a high stick. I think you saw a textbook example of how to handle the post too, with a player coming out from behind, the stick in perfect spot so the puck could not be jammed home. Number 3, Vladimir Luchenko. 1-0 Rangers leading this one. Almost midway through the first period here at Madison Square Garden. Super Series 1980. Puck is in front of the net. Kazadanov clearing it down the ice. Goes all the way down, and the Rangers back to touch it. Merwa does. It's called on the icing, and this is something you don't see a lot of in Soviet hockey, is really wasting chances.
Well, what they try, though, all the time, that's about the third or fourth icing we've had already, and they continually try to throw that puck for the fast break right through the middle between your defensemen, and they keep their wingers high, and oftentimes if the pass or if they're hurried, their own zone, that puck goes right between the defensemen and is called for icing. Barry Beck you saw there. Here's a shot just wide, hit the side of the net, just off the post. Now around the boards to the far side. Cleared behind the net for the Rangers. Johnstone trying to find a man in the slot, out in front, and it rolls off a leg. Now the Rangers with Beaton going after it with no stick. He jams in against the boards. Johnstone to the far boards. Being checked in there by Varnikov. They kick it along. Warren Miller, number 24, finally gets the whistle as he pins it in. Called for a face-off to the left of the Soviet goal. There's a shot of the Soviet bench as they take changes. Well, here we have that shot again, just going off the edge of the net. We see Tretiak trying to jam it, throwing the puck right around the boards. This is one thing the Soviets don't usually do. They like to bring it up the middle, but it's the second time they've thrown it around the boards, getting in a little trouble when that shot comes from the point just by throwing it blind. Well, they said they had to forecheck this hockey club. If you wanted to have any success, don't let them get under their end and freewheel. And so far, the Rangers done a pretty good job in that department. Now the face-off. Taken to the boards by Gimaev. Now chased right in there. Good job again by Eddie Johnstone. And the puck is cleared around the boards to this side. Rodzetsky on the far side. And again, it's Gimaev. Out off a stick to center ice, and the Rangers take over, and they fire it into the crowd. Called for another face-off. Live from New York, this is Super Series 80 on CTV. John Davidson on the bench, waiting for his turn, which will come probably midway through the second period. Another big goaltender. What a hero he was in the Stanley Cup playoffs last year, especially against the New York Islanders. He was playing in a lot of pain, a bad knee and so on. He's coming off the surgery now for that. Now in over the line. Here's Vickers trying to get set. He rolls it in front and it's just deflected wide, as in there was Nielsen. Good play. Back at the blue line now, Hedberg turning with it. He flips it in, and it clears the glass behind the Central Red Army goal. Called for another face-off. There's Steve Vickers, who scored the only goal of the game right now. And I think a very good choice to go with both Hedberg and Nielsen, because they've both got the great speed. They throw the puck around well, and Steve Vickers is known as an excellent goal scorer. Play underway now as the puck is into the corner, around the boards to the far side, and out to center ice. Now here come the Soviets, over the line, drop pass, trying to get set is Mihailov right in front of the net. No, scores! No, it did not. It did not. It may have hit a post or it went over top of the net. I thought he put it right into the net. Now behind the net, Breshner, around to the far boards, Hospodar. He's unable to get loose. Breshner back behind the net. This fine line of the Central Red Army, this veteran line, doing a little forechecking, but now here they come again. The Rangers out over center ice, now over the line. Hedberg shot right on, and covering up there is Tretiak, and it's held for a face-off. We'll see what happened on that play, because I thought it went into the net. Well, here we see the little move. Mikhailov drops the puck to Petrov. Petrov puts it through. Harmeloff gets it right. He seems to go behind Baker, but the light didn't go on. It probably hit the post and came right back out. But a nice three-way passing play, and it looked like it was a gimme with Harmeloff standing just off the edge of the net.
Well, they got to have some help out there, and as I say, perhaps a post. Certainly from our vantage point, it was hard to really see what happened. Now here's Esposito inside the zone. Esposito going to the backhand, gets set, shoots, and it clears the net as Luchenko missed it at the side of the net. He's number 3, and he works it out to center ice. Carrying it up ice is Schluptov to the line, shooting it wide of the net. And now starting out.